Hi, Barbie!
Hi, Ken.
Diamonds under my eyes.
This is the best day ever.
It is the best day ever. Do you guys ever think about dying? What do I have to do?
You have to go to the real world.
I'm coming with you.
Okay. What's going on? Why are these men looking at me?
Yeah, they're also staring at me.
Barbie in the real world. That's impossible.
No one rests until this doll is back in a box.
Even if nobody else.
Humans only have one ending.
Get that Barbie!
Ideas live forever.
Barbie is directed by Greta Gerwig and is co-written by Baumbach. Barbie and Ken are having the time of their lives in the colorful and seemingly perfect world of Barbie Land. However, when Barbie suffers from an existential crisis, she and Ken get a chance to go to the real world where they discover the joys and perils of living among humans. When I first heard that they were making a live-action film about Barbie, I was in shock for two different reasons. One being that a major film adaptation of this toy hasn't already happened, and the other being, why are they making a live-action movie about Barbie? But then as we got closer to the release date and more trailers and details about the film began to come out, my confusion quickly turned to intrigue. The marketing for this film was pure genius, not only because it was everywhere on everything, but it seemed to promise something much more than a toy commercial, rather a fun satire on the existence of Barbie. Plus the poster generator, that was a cute marketing tool. In fact, I think I may have had a little too much fun with it now that I think about it. It also helped that Greta Gerwig and Baumbach were the ones behind this, and based on their filmography, yeah, this movie was in good hands. Either way, now that I've experienced Barbie, I can safely say this film has got that Lego movie energy to it. Not only because it's an inventive comedy based on a popular toy brand, but also because audiences will probably go into this movie not knowing what to expect, only to come out shocked by what a creative, inventive, unbelievably entertaining experience it was. I genuinely love this film so much. This film surprised me in ways I wasn't expecting. While the journey to the real world was pretty much what I expected from the trailers, the actual commentary on Barbie this film offers went way deeper than I thought it would. The entire movie is dedicated to breaking down the impact Barbie had on the world for better and worse, and how Barbie herself might be able to fix it. There are scenes where the movie takes jabs at the IP and the Mattel brand, and yet the film also feels like a love letter to the source material. Most of the critiques of Barbie in the film felt like they were coming from a place of love and self-awareness, but at the same time, there were so many deep-cut references to Barbie's past. A couple of discontinued or controversial dolls are characters in the film, and the movie is always referencing different parts of Barbie's history. But thankfully, just like Spider-Verse, the references never distract from the story, and it shows that the filmmakers not only did their research on Barbie, but also love and respect this IP. As it turns out, the Barbie movie was a very thought-provoking film with a lot to say about gender, society, and feminism. And while the messages in this film do feel like they're being hammered in the audience's face at few points, it kind of works because it's meant to get the messages across to the characters in the story. The Barbies and Kens are literally detached from reality, living in their own world, which is why these messages need to be unsubtle. That way they can learn these lessons for themselves, and even at that, the film mostly conveys its messages in a comedic way that works for an over-the-top comedy like this. In fact, the over-the-top nature of the story is why the film works so well. There were a few strong emotional moments, but for the most part, the film doesn't take itself seriously at all, and leads to sequences that are bursting with creativity, allowing for the film to be anything but predictable. One of this film's strongest assets was the comedy. I think this might be the funniest film I've seen this year, which I know sounds like high praise, but I can't think of another 2023 film that had me laughing as constantly as this one did. There were a few jokes that didn't land, but the ones that did land had me in my theater laughing out loud. Not just chuckling, actually laughing. The deliveries from the cast and the chemistry they have with each other is fantastic through and through, which leads to interactions that are pure comedy gold. On top of that, there's a great balance of shock humor, slapstick comedy, and subtle visual gags, and they're all so well directed and written. Gerwig and Baumbach just nailed this script in every department. Some of the jokes here are definitely going to be seen as risky. This film does feel more adult-oriented at times with its sense of humor and themes. There will be so many jokes in this that will go over kids' heads. This film isn't exactly a mainstream comedy. It does use its humor to try to get the audience to think. And I'm sure people will appreciate this film's attempts to appeal to different age groups. That way, everyone can take something away from this movie and think about it long after they've seen it. Where this film also shines is in its production design. This is a visually stunning movie in terms of both effects and set pieces. The world of Barbie Land feels completely lived in. The team did a phenomenal job bringing this stylized fantasy world to life that applies to the rules of toys. Everything in this world looks and operates like a giant play set. To put it simply, everything is plastic and it's fantastic. Production designer Sarah Greenwood deserves all the recognition in the world for what she has done here. The costumes were also insanely impressive. They were stylish, over the top, and looked just like a crazy accessory or outfit you'd get for a Barbie or Ken doll. I can guarantee there will be outfits in this film people will want for themselves. Even the editing, cinematography, and visual effects looked great. There wasn't a single frame of this movie that could be considered visually dull. I seriously dare everyone watching this video to watch this film and find me one frame that lacks any visual flair. Go ahead. I'll wait. Good luck. Margot Robbie was perfectly cast in this. She embodies everything about the stereotypical Barbie flawlessly, and gets so many strong emotional and comedic moments with her character. Barbie's arc in this movie felt fully realized, where she starts the film thinking she's done great things for young women, only to realize that's not the full story. And she ends up going through an existential crisis to figure out who she is outside of what she was made to be. This storyline was paced beautifully, and I thought it felt as fleshed out and real as it possibly could have been. But the main star here was Ryan Gosling. No words will ever do his performance justice. Throughout the film, his comedic timing was on point, and he has an endless amount of energy to bring to the role. It was also so nice to see America Ferrera again. I think the last film I saw with her was How to Train Your Dragon 3. And she is great in this movie, and even gets to deliver one of the best monologues in a film this year. Although I did have some problems with her character's subplot. It wasn't bad by any means, but it was the only part of the film that was a little predictable, especially when compared to how unpredictable the rest of the movie was. Kate McKinnon was also hysterical in this film as Weird Barbie. And I loved Will Ferrell in this. His character is absolutely hilarious, and his performance and deliveries make him even better. I thought he made for a great representation of a misguided CEO. And they subverted his storyline in a way that I wasn't expecting. Though the real award goes to Michael Cera as Alan for being my favorite character in the film by a landslide. I just love everything about this guy. Humanity doesn't deserve someone like Alan, and yet here he is. What a character. The soundtrack for this film is also incredible. Greta really booked as many top artists as she could for this film. Every song in this movie was a perfect fit for each scene. I won't go over all of them, but I'll mention a few of my favorites. Lizzo's Pink was a perfect opening for the film, and the lyrics during both the first version and the dark reprise are the perfect blend of catchy and hilarious. Dua Lipa's Dance the Night was such an earworm. Billie Eilish's What Was I Made For was so raw and powerful. And while I did love Nicki Minaj and Ice Spice's Barbie World when I listened to it before watching the movie, it quickly grew on me over time. Yep, that's it. That's all the songs in the soundtrack that I liked. There is no other song worth talking about. Nothing noteworthy whatsoever. Alright, that's it. I can't take it more. I need to talk about the best scene of the movie. Yeah, this entire video, I've just been stalling myself so I don't accidentally go on an hour-long tangent about I'm Just Ken. This is probably my personal favorite scene in a film this year, which I know sounds insane and an over-exaggeration, but I really do mean it. Not only is this song an utter banger, but I loved everything about that scene, from the direction, to the acting, to the vocals, to the choreography, the sets, the lighting, the bro-bonding moments, the music shifts, the genius lyrics, the humor. This is one of those rare scenes that I would describe as perfect. It was one of those moments where everything the film set up came together and paid off brilliantly. Outside of the messages feeling a little too phoned in, one or two unfunny jokes, and one predictable subplot. Another flaw I have with this film is that I think it could have been trimmed down a little. The film's pacing was consistently good, but at the same time, I don't think this film needed to be nearly 2 hours long. And you could have shortened down a few sequences without losing anything important to the overall story. But thankfully, this film's strengths greatly outweigh any flaws in the script for them to leave a negative impact on the experience of watching this. Barbie is a pure miracle of a feature film. What could have been a cash grab adaptation made to sell more toys was elevated by Gerwig and Baumbach to become one of the best films of the year. Largely thanks to its powerful messages, strong emotional core, fantastic soundtrack, clever humor and satire, remarkable performances, and innovative production design that's pure eye candy, leading to a film that can be adored by people who love Barbie and even people who don't like Barbie. I'm still in shock with how much I love this film, and I can't think of a better case scenario for a live-action adaptation of Barbie than what this film delivered. Not only did this film live up to the massive hype surrounding it, but it could very well go down as a cult classic that will be loved and appreciated for years to come. If you couldn't tell by this review or how prominent this film has become in culture despite just being released, this is absolutely a must-watch movie for this year, and something worth seeing in theaters if you haven't already. I'm a little worried that Hollywood might take the wrong lessons from this film and try and make a ton of IP-based films that act as toy commercials without a compelling story. Sort of like the wave of toy-based animated films that followed the Lego Movie. But for now, this film was an explosion of imagination and a wildly entertaining ride worth going for. I'm going to give Barbie a 9 out of 10. So those are my thoughts on Barbie. Feel free to leave your thoughts on the film in the comments below. Thanks for watching. As always, if you like this review and you want to see more, be sure to subscribe to the channel. That really helps me out. Remember to like the video and ring the notification bell to be notified for any upcoming reviews.
Did you bring your rollerblades?
I literally go nowhere without them.
Barbie, let's go party.